Okay, so today I'm going to be doing part two of my testimony. If you guys haven't seen the part one, then I would suggest to go to the part one and then come to this one. That way, you guys can see why I have decided to share my testimony with everybody. Now, I'm going to be talking about my childhood into my teen years because that's where I was facing, I think, the majority of the problems as a teen, as a child. And that led me to my teenage years, which led me to make the decision to run away from home at 13 years old, which led me on the streets. And that's when survival mode kicked in, and I had to do stuff that no child or no teen at that age should be doing to be able to survive. So let's start off with my childhood. And here we go. Okay, so for starters, my dad is Puerto Rican and my mom is from Nicaragua. I was born in North Philadelphia in the East Coast, and my mom and my dad separated, which led my mom to move to Los Angeles. So here in Los Angeles, my mom met my stepdad, and that's when everything started to kind of happen with the physical abuse that I witnessed, not towards us, but towards my mom. And those are one of the problems that I do want to talk about today, which led me to make that decision to run away from home. So let's start with the problems that I was facing at home. So once my mom and my stepdad got together, it was good for a couple of years, but then um, I guess the addiction started kicking in. Not addictions, but I would say like the drinking. He would start drinking a lot, and then that's when the physical abuse would come. And I think as well because we're not his kids, or they're like it's our stepdad, so we're not his kids. So obviously there was gonna be like some sort of problem with that. So um my mom suffered a lot of physical abuse from him. There were times where um he would just fight for dumb things. And then at first it was verbal abuse, and then it became to physical abuse. And that was really traumatizing for me. It was really traumatizing for my brother because I remember out of nowhere they would just argue and then it would get physical. And that's when we would start screaming. And it was just a lot. It was a lot of problems with him, with my brothers, that caused a lot. So that was one of the problems that I was facing at home, which honestly really led me to not want to be at home anymore. I didn't even feel comfortable at home. I didn't feel comfortable coming from school home. I didn't want to be there. So that was one of the things that I faced as a child. I do remember being a happy child. My mom says I was anxious, an anxious kid. I'm not sure what that means. But I always knew or felt like something was going on inside of me. I really couldn't tell what it was, but I felt really empty on the inside. I'm not sure if that happens to kids nowadays, the feeling empty, but now looking back at it, I felt pretty empty. So that was one of the things that I was facing. So let's talk about the other. The other thing that I was facing was problems at school. I never graduated junior high school because I was never focused. For some reason, that feeling empty, honestly, I could not like stop thinking about that. Why was I feeling like that? Why was I feeling like that? So that's all I can honestly really just think about, and the problems as well as at home and everything. So I was going through that, and my voice has always been like this since I was small, and I would have problems at school for it. People were always calling me names. Um, Honestly, I've gotten jumped before in the past. People always wanted to fight me, or guys always wanted to fight me, and stuff like that. And then at that time, like the girls will always protect me. And so that's why I always kind of led towards being around girls because I felt like they always um, protected me in some way. I don't know. But I had problems at school with bullying. I was always getting into fights. At one point, I was so tired of people doing that to me, bullying me, that I just rebelled and started getting into fights. So that happened, and that was another problem that I was facing that led me to run away. And let's talk about the other one. The other problem that I was facing, or not a problem, but these were small experiences that were happening to me that made me question why are these things happening to me? So at this time, I didn't feel no attraction for no guys, and I didn't feel attraction for girls. It was just it was just like that. Um, and I was going through all these little experiences. Like, for instance, I would go to the store and people would try to pick me up on their cars. So like pull the corner and try to get me to go in their car. And I've been through several instances like that. That, thank God, nothing happened. I've been through instances or experiences where I would go do laundry at the apartment building there I used to live, but since the laundry was in the basement, um, I would have to walk down the hallway, go downstairs, and there was always like someone or a guy. There was this one guy who was always trying to get me to come to into his apartment. And now thinking about it, I understand, but as a kid I was just like, why are these things happening to me? So those were those type of experiences that were happening to me that added to everything that I was going through. And thank God that I was never like, um, touched as a kid or anything like that. So that didn't happen. So those were one of the things. All that was just a mixture of everything. And then the other part was just the emptiness that was I was going through on the inside was pretty tough. And that just really added onto everything else. So all that was leading up to my teenage years when I started high school. So let's talk about me going to high school. So I remember when I started high school, like I mentioned, I never graduated from junior high school. And I went to high school. I started high school. And in high school, I was, I think I was 13 years old. I was having a identity crisis. And I think everybody, or not, I'm not sure, but I think a lot of the youth now have identity crisis, or they have that where you're trying to find yourself at a very young age and you start going through all these phases to see which one fits. So that's what I was going through. I went through the rebel phase with I would wear tight shirts, baggy pants with the belt buckle and the cowboy boots. That was a good, I guess, phase. It was, I don't know if it was good, but I mean, the outfit was good. The outfits were good. Um, the second one was I went through a raver era, even though I've never been to a rave, but I did start going after. Um, I would ditch school and all that stuff, but that's something else. And so I went through that, through the raver phase, where I would cut cereal boxes and put them as backpacks and colorful pants and colorful shirts and the little beads on the wrist and all that stuff. So I went through that for a while. And then in high school was when I would see someone in school. At this time, you really didn't see no transgender people or anybody trying to become a girl or anything like that. It was very weird or unusual for you to find someone like that. You would literally like find them like on the streets somewhere, but that's how you would see them, but really not in school. I don't know how it is now. I think there is people like that in school now from what I've heard, but I only saw one person. And this person, I would see this person because I had a clique of friends that I would always be with. So I would see this person and then I would like kind of question like, hmm, so I left it as that. One day, I met this person in detention and we just started talking. And then we came to, I don't know if I would say agreement, but we planned on one day leaving school so that I can dress up as a girl. At this time, I was 13. This person, I think, was younger than me. This person is younger than me. Uh, so we left it at that. So I'm going to talk about now what happened when I decided to do that and all the problems that it really caused with my grandma. Okay, so I remember that when I started high school, I moved with my grandma. My grandma lived across the street from where we used to live. So she lived here and we lived here. It was like really close. So when I moved with my grandma, I started having more liberty. We didn't have problems or anything like that. But when I started high school, is when I started to transition into being a girl. And that's what caused a lot of problems with my grandma. And that's what led me to run away from home. So, um, when I decided to start dressing up as a girl, me and my friend, which was already my friend in high school, we one day ditched school and we went to downtown LA and we started stealing. I remember we stole wigs, we stole makeup. We were like going all over downtown LA, pulling the wigs off the mannequins. And I was to my surprise, some of them had like um, sticker or duct tape on, so we couldn't do that until one day that we went into a wig shop that was locked um, with like electrical gated locks. I don't know how it was, but we ended up stealing a wig from there. I don't know how we got out, but we did. We almost got caught by the cops that day on the metro, but yeah, nothing happened. So in that week was the week that I decided um, to run away for the first time at 13 years old. My friend came. Um, we brought everything. We brought it down to that basement where I would do where the laundromat was, and in the basement there was a trash chute that no longer worked. So I would get everything and hide it inside that trash chute. Um, and it was on that Friday, I think that same week on Friday. I went downstairs. My friend came. My friend was younger than me, by the way. So we did that, and we were downstairs, and he started helping me dress up. So I guess he did my makeup, he did everything, and then we ended up I ended up running away, hopping the fence, and I remember going up the alley and walking towards. I don't know how we got to the club, but we got to the club, and then I realized that the area where I lived was extremely close to a prostitution area. So that's why, so that it makes perfect sense why when I would go to the store, people would try to pull pull their car over to try to get me to go inside. So now it made perfect sense of why that was happening. So I'm gonna leave this part as that, and I am gonna talk about what happened when I went to that club and when I left the club and what happened, because after that, my life never became the same. And it's in a bad way. It's not a good way. It's not like, oh, my life became such a blessing or something. No, it was the worst thing ever for a child of 13 years old to be able to even face. And that's when survival mode kicked in. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in the other one. I guess this is part two, and that will just stop for my childhood. And then I will do part three um, when I guess I was a teen and I started living that lifestyle. So, you guys, if you guys have not liked the video, like, comment, repost it, share it, everything. Um, the last time I did the last video, someone messaged me and they said that they went on break at work. And as soon as they opened the app, they bumped into my testimony, and this person decided to um, message me and they're going through something similar like I went through. And that's the whole reason why I decided to uh, give my testimony. I feel like God is the one that touched me to do it, and only He knows why. And we're gonna leave it like that. I really don't like to come out on TV or especially talk about my business out there like that. But if it's to help somebody, then why not? I mean, what can possibly go wrong? So yeah, we're gonna leave it like that, and I will do part three. So bye.